We are the Kontra Duo. Let's just take a moment to talk about how great he sounds. If you came tonight to hear the saxophone, I don't know that you're going to get what you were expecting. He's a pretty special saxophone player. I'm extra lucky because he's actually my husband. So I get to play with him whenever I want. I know, very lucky lady.
That's a little biased.
I'm a little biased. He's. But with that being said, bias, yes, but no. As a harpist, one of my favorite things to do as I was coming up in school and really developing my skill was to play with vocalists. Vocalists can be a really great place to develop sense of time and space and all of that. And this first piece that we played was by a French composer named Gabriel Fauré. This piece, A Present Rêve, is one of his most famous arias songs. I guess it's a song that he wrote. He wrote a lot of different songs. And this one is all about, the singer is talking about how they're dreaming about their loved one and they don't want to wake up because the dreams are just so sweet. Sometimes I feel that way about him. He's a good guy. But, this is one of the first pieces we ever played together. It might a little bit be, he might have won me over with his sound here in this piece of music. So that's one of our very favorite pieces to play. It's something we've had on our stands for a long time, and we always like to start every concert with just a little bit of beauty. It's a very beautiful piece, really lyrical. He takes the time to really, he's just an incredible musician. He takes the time to really think about the words and how those words and vowels are shaped, and that helps inform how he's playing his instrument. It's just, you think you're going to see the saxophone, but you're really going to see a whole show here today. So that was what we started with today, A Present Rêve, a really beautiful piece that we love and has been on our stands for a long time. The next piece on the program is one of our favorite new pieces. My husband, Danelle, is an incredibly intelligent and wonderful person, and he is the one between the two of us that takes the time to seek out new music. This is not a standard pairing, harp and saxophone, not normal. So, especially when we first started playing together, there wasn't a lot of repertoire available to us. So we did a lot of transcriptions, a lot of playing music that was written for other instruments, and we just kind of adapted for us. Even that first piece that we played was originally written for piano and voice. We adapted it for harp and saxophone. So this next piece, Andy Scott, he's a UK-based composer. He's a living composer. This piece is only a couple of years old. I think we both really like it because it's got a really nice groove to it. It's got some nice movement to it. It's a 3-movement sonata, so it's very standard as far as form goes, but it's got a lot of kind of fun and energy to it that we both really love. And Andy Scott's wife is a harpist, so it's very playable. I don't know how much you know about this instrument, but it's hard to write for it. So this is Andy Scott's flute. There is a version for flute, that's why I said that. Okay, it was originally written for saxophone and harp. So this is Andy Scott's sonata for saxophone and harp, and it's 3 movements.
Thank you very much. It is now my turn to talk for just a little bit. So this next work, as you could imagine, that there is not a lot of original music for harp and saxophone. And actually a big part of our mission is that we have been chasing after composers and finding new works, commissioning our own works, and even actually one of the latest pieces of music that we just got like last week, so I wasn't ready for this performance. But it's for baritone saxophone, so one of the much bigger ones, it's an entire octave below this, and electric harp. And the electric harp ends up having to use different kinds of distortion pedals and everything, but the entire piece is actually based off of Lord of the Rings literature, and it's called O Elbreth Gilthaniel. But it's a really interesting work. So right now, I think I have been able to catalog over 70 original works for harp and saxophone in many, many different kinds of configurations. So every once in a while, of course, we like to, I'll use the word borrow music from different kinds of genres and adapt it for our ensemble. This next piece is a little bit of an adaptation. So originally, William Grant Still, I don't know how many folks in here are familiar with William Grant Still. Great, Mississippi born, and is considered the dean of Afro-American music. His first symphony was the most programmed symphony in America all the way through the 1950s and 60s and everything. Really amazing music. The saxophone, we were extremely fortunate to have William Grant Still write an original work for saxophone and orchestra. We couldn't fit in the orchestra here today.
All you got was the harp, sorry.
So instead we have the harp, but much better because it makes it, just a bit more romantic, especially because this next work is called A Romance. I just lost my train of thought. But a little bit of our background too is that the first time I got to meet Christina was actually when we were in grad school about 14 years ago, 14 and a half years ago or so, that we met, and we were in band together at Florida State University working on our master's degree, and there was a piece of music that we were playing called Bells for Stokowski. And the band director had the brilliant idea that he was like, I don't like where the harp is placed, let me put the harp right next to the saxophonist.
That makes sense. Move the harp, not the saxophonist, right?
So that was my first time actually ever even meeting a harpist, and then I immediately became infatuated with the instrument and, of course, the player. Mostly the player. But it is, previously I never really understood how the harp worked, and because we always see everything up top. But we never really see the footwork that goes below, because she actually has, she has 7 pedals below that are always moving and always changing keys. I like to equate it to, it's kind of like seeing a duck swim, because up top it's very still, but if you were to look below, you see the feet flapping like crazy. So I think we should have a foot camera one time.
For Andy Scott's piece especially, I'm over here like,
So luckily this next work isn't terribly difficult for Christina, but one of the things that we really enjoy about our instrument and where our name comes from is that our name is Kontra Duo. So our instruments are very contrary to one another. I sustain very well, and she has very, very precise articulations. And so the two timbres together, we really feel that they're so contrasting enough that they make a wonderful pair. And that's us in a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
So this is William Grant Still's Romance for alto saxophone and harp.
close enough for jazz, which is very appropriate because we're about to play a piece by a really famous American jazz musician named Yusef Lateef. He was a multi-instrumentalist, but primarily a jazz saxophonist and composer. So he wrote a lot of really incredible music, and he actually wrote a piece, this piece that we're going to play, for harp and soprano saxophone, or harp and oboe. And this romance, it's another romance, we're feeling very romantic today. So this is another romance. It's very different from the last romance that we just listened to. So the last romance that we listened to was very standard, very tonal, very comfortable soundscape. Yusef Lateef's music is a little bit different than that. He spent a lot of time researching different scales from the eastern part of the world, from the southern part of the world, all over the place, all sorts of different scales. And these scales might sound a little bit different from the normal westernized classical music scales, C major, D minor, all those things. So this piece is in a lot of different kinds of scales. And it might sound a little bit, there might be some areas of dissonance and tension because of that. Just trust the process, lean in. It's a beautiful piece. We love this piece. So another thing to point out about this piece, if you know there's a piece by Schumann called The Three Romances. It's originally for oboe and piano. This piece is basically designed after that piece of music. There are 3 movements in this piece, and just like with the Schumann, in the last movement of this piece, what did you say, harp? What about the last movement of this piece?
Oh, the rhythm is verbatim.
Yes, it's verbatim. It's exactly the same. That's my library man over there. So it's exactly the same as the beginning of the 3rd movement of the Schumann. So we really love this piece. It's another romance by another African-American composer. Any opportunity we have to play this music, we are absolutely overjoyed to do so. So enjoy the 3 movements from Yusef Lateef's Romance, originally for harp and saxophone. And he brought out his old toy also, his soprano saxophone.
Different saxophone.
Yeah.
This next work is one of our own, completely our own. When we got married a few years ago, we dated for several years, and then finally, after we were done with school, that's when we decided, okay, now that we're done with school, now let's get married. So part of our wedding, we decided to commission a composer to write a piece in honor of our wedding. And actually, after our wedding ceremony, the very first thing that we did as a couple was we played this piece of music. Stephen Dankner is actually a composer that was very familiar in this area, and he used to live in New Orleans for a good while. And he has done so much, especially with orchestral music. He's written several saxophone works, and he is a dear friend of ours, and just such a sweet man, such a sweet man. Every single time I have an interaction with him, I just want to hug him, because he's just such a wonderful guy. And he writes just such lovely music as well. So when it came about that we decided that we wanted to commission a composer, I called him up and talked to him about it, and he was down to do it. And so this next work is called Perseus and Andromeda, and it kind of continues this entire exotic quest that we are sort of on some different kinds of scales. But I thought I might let Christina tell the story of Perseus and Andromeda.
So if you have any previous information about Perseus and Andromeda, I apologize if I get any of it wrong. But Andromeda was this beautiful, beautiful girl. She lived in the time of Greek gods, and I believe she was maybe a water nymph or something, whatever. She was a really beautiful person, and her mother claimed her to be the most beautiful in the entire universe. And Poseidon, the god of water, was not happy about this, not happy. He was like, no, my lady, she's much prettier. So what he did in order to punish Andromeda's mother is tie Andromeda to a big old rock and let a dragon come and eat her. Yeah, I know, big mythology. So our hero of the story, Perseus, comes out and saves our dear Andromeda, and this is the story of that piece. And it's extra special for us because it was written for our wedding. We also really enjoy playing music that incorporates the ideas or concepts of water and sound. So much of the harp repertoire is about music and water and all that kind of stuff. But before we lived in Hattiesburg, we lived in South Florida, in Miami, for 7 years. So we miss the sunshine and the beach a little bit. So anytime we get an opportunity to play a little bit of water music, it brings us back home a little bit. And this is our home now, but we always have a spot in our hearts for Miami. But I think we both like it here a lot better. So this is Perseus and Andromeda, originally written for us by Stephen Mayer. Thank you so much. You want to talk about it? You want to talk about it?
Sure, you can talk.
I can talk about it. So we're running out of time, so I won't talk too much. So this next piece is by a living Australian composer, female composer, and her entire idea with this piece was to create kind of a meditative space with music. So this piece is very meditative, it's very beautiful. We love this piece. She's supposed to write a second one to go along with it eventually, but this is another one of Danelle's incredible finds. I don't know how
From Down Under.
From Down Under. I don't know how he finds these incredible pieces on the internet, but he's got the skills. So this is Sati by Jessica Wells, and we hope you enjoy it. It's one of our favorites. It's another newer piece to our repertoire, but we really enjoyed playing it. So the subtitle is Mindfulness. So try and listen mindfully.
Thank you very much. And before we play our final one, I'd just like to plug a little bit. So Kontra Duo, if you didn't notice, it's a K and a D, which is also Christina and Danelle. Another way that we kind of came up with our name. But in case anybody is interested, our album is actually available on Apple Music and all streaming platforms. If anybody wants to check out some of the things that we've recorded some other Piazzolla stuff, some original stuff, and a good bit of variety. We're working towards releasing another CD in the next year, so please be on the lookout for that.
Yeah. So thank you all for being here this afternoon. You know, when we knew we were coming to Jackson for a Tuesday afternoon 5:45 concert, we were like, anybody gonna show up? Guys, such a great turnout. As a musician, having as many of you all that are here is so touching, so meaningful to us. We would not be here doing what we love to do without you all. So thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you to Elizabeth. Thank you to Jessica. Thank you to this beautiful space, the Mississippi Museum of Art and Music in the City. We feel so grateful for having the opportunity to come here and play for you all. We're going to finish our program with some Piazzolla, and then if you've got questions or you want to come say hi or want to look at the harp, you're welcome to do that. I'm going to have to haul my little booty over there for Mississippi Symphony rehearsal right after the concert's over. So I won't be here to take questions and say hello to all of you beautiful people, but my darling husband will still be here. And he knows all about the harp, so if you have any questions, he can answer. So enjoy our final piece, Piazzolla's Libertango.